Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're unlocking a real secret sales weapon. We're unpacking this massive shift in how businesses handle high-ticket sales. We're moving completely away from the anxiety of total upfront costs and focusing entirely on monthly affordability. Okay, let's dive into this, because understanding how to structure point-of-sale financing, it's not just some neat little trick. It's a massive sales engine that fundamentally changes how your customers make decisions. To really grasp why this matters, we've got to look at the emotional stakes of sticker shock. Get this. According to recent data, a staggering 40% of Americans literally cannot afford an unexpected $400 car repair. I mean, just think about that for a second. When a consumer is standing at your auto repair counter, or maybe they're staring down a sudden home HVAC emergency, that $400 threshold, it's a cliff. Presenting a massive lump sum quote to someone in that situation doesn't just lose you the sale. It creates real, genuine distress for them. Now, what's really interesting about this is the broader economic reality. A full 78% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck. So what does this all mean for us? It tells us that consumer financing in industries like auto repair or home improvement is an absolute necessity. Seriously, it's not a luxury add-on anymore. For the vast majority of your customers, if you aren't offering them a way to break down those payments, well, you're effectively turning them away at the door. Part 1. Escaping the ghost town. Okay, we've all been there, right? You spend an hour walking a homeowner through an HVAC replacement, or you're showing a driver the absolutely critical repairs their car needs. They're nodding, they agree, they totally want the service, and then you drop the quote. Suddenly you've entered the ghost zone. They say, "Oh, let me think about it," or "I gotta talk to my spouse," and poof, they vanish. But here's the secret. They aren't rejecting your service. They just can't make the upfront numbers work. And let's be honest, they're often way too embarrassed to just say so. So how do we fix this? We have to completely contrast the old strategy with the new reality. See, the old way was basically a race to the bottom. You either lost the sale entirely or you panicked and handed out these deep, margin-crushing discounts just to land the job. Ouch. But the new way? It entirely sidesteps that price objection by offering flexible, accessible monthly payments. You stop selling the total cost and you start selling the monthly solution. It's about allowing the customer to comfortably say yes. Moving on to Section 2, the new purchasing reality. So the crucial point here is that financing creates this absolutely perfect win-win scenario. By utilizing third-party lenders, you immediately boost your sales, simply because you've removed the absolute biggest barrier, that high purchase price. You also increase the average order value. Why? Because for just a few extra bucks a month, the customer can suddenly upgrade to the premium option. And importantly, this is huge. You improve your cash flow. The lender pays you the full amount in just a few days, completely risk-free to you. Plus, you attract a wider net of new customers and earn their repeat business, all because they know you make buying easy. Now, if you need some hard numbers to back that up, a recent Forrester study actually found that companies introducing point-of-sale financing programs saw their sales increase by a massive 32%. I mean, wow, that is revenue that was literally just walking right out the door before financing was introduced. And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world impact, especially in the auto repair sector. Look at this massive jump in average repair orders. Without financing, the average ticket sits right around the national average of $300, which is basically just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. But with financing, that average leaps to anywhere between $1,700 and $2,000. Customers are finally able to afford comprehensive, genuinely safe repairs instead of just doing the bare minimum to scrape by. Section 3. Decoding the payment options. Okay, so there are actually 4 main tiers of financing that you really need to know about. At the top, you have primary credit cards. These offer lower interest rates, but they generally only approve about 30 to 40% of applicants. Next up, you have Buy Now, Pay Later, or BNPL, which gives you shorter terms. Then as we move down to secondary consumer loans and tertiary lease-to-own options, well, the interest rates definitely go up, but the approval rates absolutely skyrocket. So the golden rule here, you need to select at least one low-interest option from the top and one high-approval option from the bottom. If you do that, you're pretty much ensuring you can cover 80 to 90% of your entire customer base. Listen, you really cannot afford to ignore this. As this quote from Techion highlights, 85% of buyers will just abandon a transaction altogether if their preferred payment method isn't there. Buy now, pay later and flexible terms? They are no longer optional nice-to-haves. Gen Z and millennials, in particular, completely expect and demand predictable payment schedules. If you don't have it, they're going to walk right over to a competitor who does. let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds into fueling B2B and commercial fleets. In the auto parts distribution world, availability is literally everything. If you don't have the part on the shelf, the repair shop is just going to call the guy down the street. So, to maintain that massive inventory, distributors rely on 3 key steps. First, they absolutely have to extend net 30 terms to shops just to stay competitive. Second, to afford the 6-figure initial inventory required to stock new accounts, they use working capital to finance SKU expansions. And third, to bridge those massive cash flow gaps while waiting 30 days to actually get paid, they utilize invoice factoring. That essentially turns their unpaid invoices into immediate cash for restocking. It's a real game changer. Now, B2B financing also opens up some incredibly smart tax strategies, like Section 179. For instance, a distributor can use equipment financing to buy new delivery vans or warehouse racking, and they might put as little as 10% down. But here is the absolute magic of it. They get to write off the full purchase price of that equipment in year 1. It's incredible. It allows businesses to aggressively grow their delivery radius and capture new shops, all while significantly trimming down their tax bill. And what about the commercial fleets relying on those parts? Well, for them, downtime is the ultimate enemy. Did you know a sidelined commercial truck costs over $400 per day in lost revenue alone? And that's not even mentioning driver wages or the cost of missed deliveries. This makes speedy, properly financed B2B repairs absolutely essential for a fleet's return on investment. Simply put, having the capital to get the parts and do the overhaul immediately, that's the defining difference between a profitable fleet and a failing one. Finally, Section 5. Mastering the payment pitch. Okay, there is a massive strategic rebranding secret here that you need to know. Never, ever use the words finance or credit card. The exact second a customer hears those words, a psychological wall just shoots right up. Instead, try shifting your phrasing to this. Here are your monthly payment options. See the difference? It sounds helpful, it sounds like standard procedure, and it immediately puts the customer at ease so they can actually review their choices without getting defensive. The businesses that truly master this stuff, they build these best practices into their daily routine. First off, offer it early and often. Mention payment options right at the vehicle drop-off, planting that seed before the inspection even happens. And please don't prejudge based on the car they drive or how they look. Remember, even very wealthy customers often prefer using other people's money and taking advantage of no-interest promos. Make sure to educate your customers on how to pay it off smartly. And most importantly, build it into every single quote. It should be your standard operating procedure, not some desperate rescue plan you throw out at the cash register when a customer starts wincing at the price. And that leaves us with this final crucial thought. If you're struggling with closing those high-ticket repairs or upgrades, remember this. Pricing isn't killing your sales. Your options are. Customers genuinely want to buy. You just have to give them the runway to do it. So, what does this all mean for you? Are you ready to offer your customers a better way to say yes? Start implementing these structured payment strategies in your business today and watch your ghost zone completely disappear. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.